Hello and welcome to another podcast with me, Troy Francis. Welcome to the show. It is Monday. I'm struggling to find the date, but it's getting on a bit in July now. It's like the 20th of July. And I'm here in London at the moment, coming at you with another wonderful piece of audio broadcasting. And today I want to talk about wealth, and I want to talk about wealth in a number of different ways. This is largely attributable to the fact that a story has broken about Dan Bilzerian in the last day or so, and so I want to discuss that, but just kind of use that as a tipping off point, if you like, for some general reflections on wealth and displays of wealth as it pertains to dating and game and all this kind of thing. Before that, a couple of the old parish notices. The first one is that Renegade Dating Domination, which is my new collection of old essays and articles, stuff you can't get on the old internet anymore, is currently available. So check out the link below and click on that and you can get it. It's 2 volumes worth of my best writing really from the last 5 years. There's a ton of material there. There's over 400 pages, 150 plus articles on all different aspects of game, dating and all the rest of it. So if you're looking for a bit of direction this post-lockdown summer, then Renegade Dating Domination is the way to go. So do check that out. And it really helps to support my work as well. Because look, I'm not monetized on this channel, guys. I'm not making any ad revenue from YouTube or on any of the other platforms where this podcast appears. And so, you know, if you buy a product from me, that just really, really helps to support me and to allow me to continue to keep putting out free content like this. So thank you very much. And on that note, my acclaimed course, CAD Academy, Charisma and Dating Academy, reopens for new students on the 7th of August, okay? And there's going to be an enrollment period of 5 days, so it's from the 7th to the 11th of August. You can sign up for the course once more, and then you will not only get the course, which is 10 hours worth of video of me training you in all aspects of charisma, the bad boy archetype, mindsets, etc., but you'll also get access to a series of exclusive webinar trainings with me and some other special guests that will be taking place during August as well. So do jump on board for that. There'll be more information on that coming up very soon on YouTube and on my various other platforms, if you like. So that's enough of the plugging. Let's now get into talking about this aspect of wealth. And as I say, one reason that I'm talking about this today is because a story broke. Actually, it was a few days ago. It was slightly longer ago than I thought. Anyway, a story broke in July 2020 about Dan Bilzerian in Forbes magazine. And I preface this by saying that this is all alleged. I have no idea the veracity of any of these claims or anything else. But it's nevertheless an interesting story. And the article, which you can find online, is titled Dan Bilzerian is a renter and someone else pays his credit card bills lawsuit. Okay, and it begins: the mansions, the yachts, the parties, the models. How does Dan Bilzerian, the globe-trotting, cash-stacking, gun-toting, Instagram boasting, partying playboy do it? Or more to the point, how does he pay for it? And then it says, according to a lawsuit filed this week, he doesn't. Dan Bilzerian rents his house and charges the rest of his 6-figure lifestyle to a credit card that someone else pays off. And these are claims made by a majority shareholder and a guy who was previously serving the company. He's a previous employee of the company called Heffernan. Okay, so this dude Heffernan was he joined Ignite, which is Dan Bilzerian's company, in 2019, and he was vice president of sales, okay, according to his suit. And he then became acting president of Ignite in November after the exit of his predecessor. Okay, so this was a guy, a businessman who had come over from P&G, Procter & Gamble, to help Dan Bilzerian sort of grow out his company. And the article makes the point that Ignite, the company, was sort of trying to find its way, really, at the time. It was a recreational cannabis brand. Then it sort of focused on CBD. and then it got into just various other different things. I mean, all of this really is the sort of, I guess, the mechanical vehicle behind Dan Bilzerian, the brand. And I mean, Dan Bilzerian is a personal brand, and a very successful one at that. And, you know, I guess the company was there in order to sort of structure his monetization of that brand. Because essentially, and this is like true of a lot of online content creators, myself included, on a much more humble scale than Dan Bilzerian, you know, you really live and die by the brand, by the content about yourself primarily that you put out, okay? And you know, the money that you can then make as a result of that obviously needs to be put into some sort of framework, some sort of structure, and you can form a company in order to manage that, if you like, or within which to sort of host all of that, if you like. But essentially what's driving anything that Dan Bilzerian does, I would say, is his Instagram, okay? Because, you know, he might be getting into CBD and stuff like that, but why are people going to look at his products and potentially purchase them? Well, because he's got that massive and very bling Instagram. So, you know, the company is sort of like an extension of him in a way. But anyway, what it is saying, what this suit is saying, is that he rented his pad in the ritzy Los Angeles hills for $200,000 a month, and he didn't pay the rent. Okay, and it says the house and everything else, the models, the yachts, the flights are charged to the corporate tab of Ignite International Limited, the company Bilzerian founded and serves as CEO and majority shareholder. Okay, so effectively he was charging everything back to his company. And as in the process, Ignite managed to lose a reported $50 million last year. Okay, so he, you know, ostensibly what this report is saying is that he was living this incredibly lavish lifestyle that we all see on his Instagram and everything else, but actually it was all being charged back to his company. Nice coffee. I'm just drinking this coffee on my yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean, surrounded by gorgeous Victoria's Secret bottles. Actually, I'm not. I wish that was the case, but I'm in grimy London. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, a couple of things sprang to mind when this story broke. Firstly, not much of a surprise. I think with a lot of the wealth porn, lifestyle, success porn type stuff we see online, I think you've got to be a little bit skeptical of it, because do the super wealthy really flaunt it in quite that way? Probably not. Certainly I know people, and I have friends of friends who are very wealthy, and they are not flaunting their wealth in that manner on social media, because they're not trying to sell anything, you know? And it's like, and to be fair, I don't think Dan Bilzerian hasn't sold, as far as I know, get rich quick schemes or sorry, get rich quick or get rich courses or books or products. So it's not that he's sort of saying, look at my lifestyle, now buy my product and you can be like me, quite, but he is nevertheless obviously using his lifestyle in order to attract interested parties who will then buy other products or services from him, or will, you know, money will flow to him as a result of showcasing that lifestyle. Another iteration of this is, though, the get rich if you follow this 12-step or 6-step program, buy my Gumroad course type people. And of course, we see a lot of those on social media. We see a lot of them on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube, and all the rest of it. Okay, so those people will often showcase their wealthy lifestyle. They'll show themselves driving around in big cars, they're living in big houses, they are going on lots of expensive holidays and things like that. And the message is very directly, look at the amazing life that I'm living. You too could be living this life if you follow my advice. Here's my course, here's my training, here's my consultation package, send me the money. Okay? And rightly, people have been skeptical of these claims for a long time, because often, not always, but often, when something looks too good to be true, we know that perhaps it is too good to be true. And as I say, and the question that always it comes back to is, if these people are really so wealthy, and if these people are really having such an amazing time, then why are they spending all this time on social media trying to sell courses and products and books and things to help other people on social media become rich as well? Because if they were independently rich, then why would they bother to do it, And there's always, I suppose, that question in the back of people's minds. And of course we know, because it's been uncovered, people have been unmasked, if you like, and it's been proven that there have been fakes. There have been people who have pretended to live a lifestyle that they're not really living on Instagram and other platforms, because you can hire cars, you can go to a fancy hotel for one night, and you can take lots of amazing pictures there, and you can use that. Obviously, in my own space, in the dating space, people have been known to fake things. You can obviously just make stuff up about the life you're living, but you could also fake photographs and videos and things like this. So it's right that we look with some skepticism on the output that people put across on social media, particularly this wealth stuff, because it is so alluring, isn't it? And they say that there are three big categories for business, really, but certainly for online business, and they are money, love, sex, and health, fitness. And that's true. These are the things that particularly guys are drawn to as purchasers, but also women. And so if somebody is online going, look at me, I'm in the pool all day while you're at work, you loser, I'm having an awesome life and you're not, just buy my course and you too can live this life, then that is a very alluring offer, because a lot of people aren't particularly happy in the corporate jobs that they have, or whatever job that they've got. They would like to be living a lavish, moneyed lifestyle, because let's face it, who wouldn't? And the other thing is that, particularly for guys, underlying all of this, whether it's stated or not, is a desire for easier access to sex, because it is assumed, and not without reason, that guys who have a lot of money, who are wealthy, get more access to sex with attractive women than guys who are not. And so even if the content creator doesn't mention sex, even if the content creator never posts a picture with an attractive woman, and he never makes a reference to that, you can sure as hell be certain that it's in the minds of the target audience, because the target audience is sitting there thinking, I want to be a multimillionaire. But they're not just thinking that for the purpose of getting that money. They're also thinking, and then the women will come with it, the beautiful girls will come along with it as well. And a lot of the time, these content creators know that. Dan Bilzerian knows that. Why do you think that he is always pictured with a bunch of attractive models everywhere he goes? It's because he's directly appealing to that impulse within his target audience. Now, Dan Bilzerian has received a lot of criticism over the years for having these models around him, and people have often said, oh, they're paid and everything else. And I mean, I don't know whether that's the case or not, but I don't see that there's a big problem with that, because at the end of the day, he is creating a brand image. He's promoting a brand, and it works, to be honest. So I don't really have any issue with that, if that's the case. Because it makes sense from a commercial point of view. It absolutely makes sense. I think the issue is more with whether you are taken in by what you see online or not. And I think that's really where your attention needs to lie. I don't think it's particularly profitable to be railing against people, who've created this image of an amazing lifestyle, because people are going to do what they're going to do. It's down to you whether you bought into that or not. It's down to you whether you fell for it or not, if you like. Now, in saying all of that, these allegations against Bilzerian, I mean, look, whether they're true or not, obviously I don't know, but it sounds pretty awesome. I mean, what a hustle, right? You form a company, and then you get the company to pay for your fantastic, glamorous lifestyle. And I mean, people may say, well, he paid the girls, blah, 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 but I bet you he is... I bet you that he is sleeping with some of them. Do you know what I mean? I think you'd have to be naive to think that he's that Dan Bilzerian is some kind of incel who just goes to bed and cries every night. I mean, just through the social proof alone, he is gaining erotic capital. Okay, his sexual market value is increased just by even if it's an illusion, just by that illusion, his sexual market value is high, and so women will undoubtedly have been attracted to that. And he's also living a great lifestyle. So whether or not his company lost 50 million, in some senses, I mean, good for him, because he's probably had a better year than the guy who's sitting in his cubicle, who's now railing online about, oh, look, I always told you Dan Bilzerian was this or that, what a faker, look at this story, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, but, I mean, mate, who gets the best laugh? Him, or who gets the last laugh? Him or you? Because regardless of how he's paid for it, he's probably had a far better time than you have in the last, few years. So there's that. I mean, the other thing to say is that, look, I mean, again, I don't know the intricacies of this case. Obviously, I don't know about whether these allegations are true or not, and certainly Dan Bilzerian it's reported he is looking to countersue. So, let's see where that goes. But yeah, I mean, it is a business, right? And the expenses, to claim, because his whole business is predicated on his showcasing this amazing lifestyle. And so therefore, it would seem to me as a layman that expensing that to the company it makes sense, because he is a personal brand and he has to showcase that lifestyle because that is his marketing, basically. That's his advertising. But anyway, as I say, this is beyond my pay grade, really, and no doubt we will see what happens with the case. But I think that damning somebody like him for faking it is sort of sour grapes, really, and probably a bit naive, because look, the truth of the matter is that a lot of very wealthy, powerful people bend the rules in different ways in order to live an enviable lifestyle. And I think instead of criticizing those people, we want to think, well, what can we learn in this instance? Is there something that we can take from this? Because, unfortunately, the world is not very kind to people who play by the rules all the time. That's just the hard truth of it. And this is the truth in dating and in game and in everything else. As business, money, life, etc. So I think you've got to take your hat off to people who find a way to create an amazing lifestyle and live that life, because in a sense they've won. In a sense they are the winner, regardless of how it might look when somebody tries to go through their dirty laundry and everything. The other thing that I wanted to touch on, though, is about the whole wealth porn thing in general, because the thing is, for me, and this is now I'm not talking now about Dan Bilzerian, but about other people who peddle the same thing, really, albeit on a lower level. They peddle have this amazing lifestyle, you can be really rich, it's all great. Now, look, first of all, I'm as susceptible to this as anybody else. I mean, would I like to have an amazingly lavish lifestyle? Yeah, I think I probably would. Of course, it's appealing. But what I suppose is most appealing about it for me is not so much the cars, because I'm not that interested in cars. It's not so much, it's not even so like women particularly. It's more getting time and freedom, really. I mean, I would quite like to be on holiday a lot of the time. That would be quite nice. So there's that. But then you have to say, well, how much money do you actually have to be making in order to live a lifestyle where you're on holiday a lot of the time and you're in sunny places? And the truth of the matter is not very much. And perhaps this is a British thing, perhaps this is just a sensibility thing, but I find some of the get loads of money if you follow XYZ steps marketing stuff to be just a little bit tacky in a way. And it's not like that. I mean, and then others may say that, that's a loser mindset and blah blah blah. If you had the money, you wouldn't be saying that. Well, maybe that's true, but I mean, there is a tackiness to the accumulation of wealth for no other reason than to have wealth. And I think we can all recognise that. I mean, if you go into a big store in London like Harrods or something and you see some of the things they're selling and you see some of the people there and you see all the plastic surgery and the kind of fakeness and the shallowness. And then if you have a look at some of the, so-called VIP, resorts or VIP hotels or VIP, like 5-star hotels, the VIP lifestyle, the VIP experience. In many ways, I mean, yes, it can be kind of pleasant, but it can also seem very shallow and somewhat lacking in authenticity as well. I've stayed in 5-star hotels quite a lot just for my previous job and also in my personal life, and to be honest, I don't always like them very much. It's not because I want to stay somewhere that's really crap just because to make a point or something, but sometimes you can be in a very luxurious hotel and you think it should make you feel a certain way. You think, I should feel happy now because I'm in this fancy place, and it kind of doesn't, because there's something about the glass and the chrome and the polished surfaces and everything being so perfect that there's a sort of a lack of humanity in it, in a funny sort of a way. And I'm personally much more happy, sitting in an old bar in Las Ramblas in Barcelona or something that hasn't seen a lick of paint in 20 years than I am being in one of these very upscale type places, because it's just sort of, I don't know, they just seem a bit soulless sometimes. I mean, not all the time. There are some great places as well. So there is that aspect to it. And this, as I say, this is a sensibility thing. And maybe this is being British because I don't have quite that same, perhaps more American style go-getter, like, yeah, man, pile the cash kind of thing. Having said that, does money make life easier? Well, yes, absolutely it does. And the people that say you need to have money in order to have freedom, in a way they're right, because the more money you have, the more your freedom is guaranteed. I mean, if I was a multi-millionaire and I had all that cash sitting there, then there would be no worry. I wouldn't have to be concerned about, continuing to make content or continuing to make products or doing sponsorship or affiliates for people and things, because the money would already be there, and I could just go and sit on the beach and I would be free. I wouldn't have to, and I could say what I wanted to say, and I could, do whatever I wanted to do, and there would be no negative consequence to that because the cash would ensure that. So yeah, absolutely, I get that. However, I also feel like, and this again is just a personal feeling, I feel like making money for its own sake is a little bit vapid as well. That is to say, I don't think it seems entirely satisfying to me or fulfilling to me. And there are things I would rather do than just make money. Like I want to write. I've got my novel, which is all geared up and I've been procrastinating on, but I need to get that finished. I would rather be able to create great work that would make me less money than I would just make a bunch of money for the sake of it, for the sake of the gram sort of a thing. And as I say, people will say, well, that's just disingenuous, and you're only saying that because you haven't got the cash and everything else. But that's kind of how I feel. I mean, saying that, I do want to make some cash. Do you know what I mean? I want to make enough that I am well enough off not to have to worry too much about it. But I think after you go beyond a certain point, it just becomes... It can prevent you from doing other things that are maybe more important, like creating work that's great, like doing something artistically that makes a statement, So I think it's a nuanced thing. I think making money up to a point, yeah, brilliant, I'm on board. Going beyond that point, I'm less sure, and that's why I find the success porn stuff a little bit soulless, unless the content creator is also showing a bit of themselves, if they're showing a bit of their vulnerabilities, if they're talking about a bit more about their life rather than just like, yeah man, hustle and stack cash. And some of them do that, and that's good, and I'm fine with that, But there's got to be a bit of personality behind it. There's got to be a bit of artistry behind it, because otherwise it's just a very commercial thing, and it just leaves me a little bit cold anyway. I guess because we are now coming up on half an hour, I should really just relate this back to dating and game a little bit. And we've talked already in these podcasts about whether money is necessary for to be great with women. And just to repeat what I've probably already said, yes, it helps in terms of access, but it is not the be all and end all. And the reason I say that is because I'm in London. There's a lot of very wealthy men here, and they are not all drowning in the erotic attentions of women, while the poor people are going without. It just doesn't go down like that. There are plenty of times you can go into a club in London and see a guy who's hired a table, he spent $10,000 or whatever it is, and he's sitting there on his own. Because he's fat, he's out of shape, he doesn't know how to socialise, he's inept in those areas, and the girls will come along and drink his drinks, and then they'll walk around the club and they'll get together with the Chad bad boys on the dance floor who don't have any money at all. Okay, so wealth in itself is not the golden key. It's not the silver bullet. It's not the magic answer. So when guys say, well, look, I'm just going to work on my business or work on my money, and then the girls will come to me, that's not really true. You need to get the social acumen stuff sorted out, which is why my CAD Academy course is there. I work with some very rich clients. I have friends in that sphere, and I've known guys who are very successful bankers, hedge fund managers and stuff, and they're going out on doing day game boot camps because they can't meet women. Back when those things used to exist, which they kind of don't at the moment. So yeah, beware of thinking that you just become wealthy and that solves all of the problems. Having said that, there is some truth in the idea that wealth gets you access, and also it gives you time, and this is a really important thing as well. If you are kind of wealthy, and so you don't have to get up at 6 a.m. and then go to your job and be at the job for 10 hours and then come home and whatever. You're not living that kind of regimented life. For a start, you've got more time. You're out and about more. And this is how Paul Janka was successful with women in New York back in the early 2000s. I don't think... Well, he was making some cash. He worked for a hedge fund at one point, but then he always had some money. There was cash around, and he was living this life where he was living in a very small apartment, but he had a lot of free time. And that enabled him to meet a lot more girls, because he could go and approach them more, and he could also date them, like say during the afternoon, or, go out for lunch or something like this, which is kind of impossible for the salary man. So there's that. And also as well, money gets you access to the best clubs, the best parties, the best bars, the best restaurants, all of that kind of thing. And of course, attractive women flock to those places. So, you definitely get an in there as well. But I don't believe, and in my experience and in the experience of clients, wealth in itself is not going to to get you women, or at least it's not going to get you the sort of women that you want on the terms that you want. Because what, of course, you have to be very careful about is attracting so-called gold diggers, women who are just there because you're wealthy. They are just there because of the experiences that you can provide. And look, that can be a lot of fun. That can be very nice. But there is a difference between a woman being seriously aroused by you, which she can be by a guy who's got no money and is living in a squat and is selling drugs or other contraband, as opposed to her just being there because she finds your money and your lifestyle attractive. There's a real difference there. And people with some experience in this will know what I mean, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same quality of relationship. So you absolutely do want to avoid women who are there just as a result of the cash. Saying that, of course, there are players in this field who have both. They have money and they have game, and that's great. That's a winning combination. But the point is, you do need to have the game. You do need to have the understanding of social dynamics. Okay, but bringing it back to Dan Bilzerian, his lifestyle and his online persona was a part of his game, because what he's doing with having all those pictures with the models, I mean, who cares if the models were paid for or not? That is massive pre-selection right there. So the girl, who maybe comes from small town America, looking at those Instagram pictures, she doesn't necessarily think maybe he paid for those girls to be there. She just thinks, look, there's a guy, he's surrounded by all these hot models, he must be somebody who is sex worthy, okay? And then she's attracted to him anyway. And so Dan Bilzerian and people like that are gaining erotic capital as a result of the pre-selection, whether the pre-selection was somewhat massaged or not. So, don't hate the player, right? Instead of being down on people like this, look at what they do and think, okay, are there elements of this that I can use myself? Can I learn something here? Can I bring this into my own lifestyle in some way? But at the same time, don't be so seduced by wealth that it takes you away from substance, because substance is really bloody important. I mean, look, we're on this planet. I keep saying this. We're on this planet for 70 years. I've gone through over half of mine already. So death is coming up towards me like the light at the end of the tunnel or whatever. There isn't much tunnel left. I'm not sure if that's the best analogy, but you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of road left, but there is an infinite road left, okay? And you've got to think about, what do I really bloody want to do? And yes, the things that wealth can bring you are very nice and very pleasurable, but are they truly satisfying on a soul level? And I think they're not. So for me, I think, yes, earn money, yes, have a good lifestyle, but don't let that blind you to things that are perhaps more important, okay? And I'm not saying you can't do both. People do ride there are ways of riding both of those things in tandem, but you just need to consider that as you are being drawn in by the Instagram pictures and the videos and the tweets and everything else. All right, anyway, I'll leave it there for now. But as I say, link below for Renegade Dating Domination. So do click on that and get your copy so I can live my own dream Instagram lifestyle like Dan Bilzerian. And Charisma and Dating Academy opening up on the 7th of August. So look out for that. Only open for 5 days, so be sure to jump on board. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please do subscribe anyway, even if you're listening to this on another platform, because YouTube is where my main focus is at the moment. I really need to build up that audience. It really helps me to bring new people to the channel, new people to the material, and it helps me to keep putting out this free content. So if you enjoy my stuff, please do subscribe, give me a like on this video, write a comment, share, etc., etc. Really, really helps out, guys. Thanks ever so much. I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.